We're live. Hello and welcome to No Matter What Did You Just Say? A No Matter What after show hosted by the Section 109 podcast. I am Andrew Berzee, better known as Breezy, and I am joined tonight by the lovely and beautiful and looking very classy Mr. Jay Buchanan. Jay, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great, man. Coming to you from a cloud.
I know.
Look good?
You look very fancy.
I appreciate it, man. No, I am super excited to be here. These episodes of the documentary that we've watched so far have been amazing. The one guy's cameo named Andrew Breezy in the first one was really good, though.
I don't know about that, but it was very weird hearing myself on a real documentary on real television. I don't know how that happened. But I'm not complaining.
I recorded my screen on my laptop so that I could have my cut. Just I had to.
No one tell Owen.
No, not at all. Or anybody else that's probably watching this right now.
Yeah, no one's really watching this, I'm sure. So listen, Jay, who are we and what do we do? Maybe why are we here?
We are the Section 109 podcast. We normally drink whiskey and beer in my guest bedroom, and we record random stupid things on microphones and every now and then on video. But we have been asked to take over this live stream, and I'm super excited. I'm super nervous / excited because I've never done anything like this before, but it's awesome.
Speaking of live and taking over the stream, we have a special and distinguished guest, Mr. Peter Fuller. Are you on the line with us?
Is that who I hear?
I am, you guys. How you guys doing?
Good, man. That we hear your voice.
Yeah. I'm just so everybody knows, I'm not. I want to let your listeners know I'm not at the disco. I'm not at Reagan's or Westbound. I am actually standing in CBC, but they've got Singo going on upstairs, and it's pouring rain outside. So I've decided to come inside. I hope the background music isn't a problem.
I can hear you pretty clearly right now, and I don't hear too much background music yet. So I guess we'll just see how it goes.
Perfect.
Yeah, I hear you perfect.
So we were just starting to talk about the doc itself. So you joined at the perfect time. So bubble time has started, and Coach, we're gonna watch a clip here in a minute, and you'll be able to hear it.
Okay.
You obviously won't be able to see it since you're calling in this time, but
sure.
It'll be a little clip on the hotel arrival. It'll be you talking, and once we get done with that clip, which we'll roll here in a second, I would really love to hear kind of your thoughts on how the bubble was, kind of how the teams were laid out, all that kind of stuff. But let's go ahead and roll that clip right now, and we'll come back and talk about it after.
Sure.
In terms of the hotel, obviously you've got, 8 teams here. A lot of you guys have friends with other teams. Visit when you can. I'm fine with that. Let's just make sure we're respectful of everybody that's here. I don't want to give anyone bulletin board material. I've already heard somebody talking about us, so that's fine, and I'm just fine with that. But the beauty of what we do, the best part of it is that you can politicize it all you want, but eventually we're going to step out on the field, and it's going to be 11 guys against 11 guys, and we're going to decide it there. You're a really, really, really good team, all right? I'm going to say that up front, regardless of what happens this week. And there's a bunch of good teams here. But remember, the reason that you're in the position that you're in is because you're a really good team. Whenever things start going sideways and you start wondering why it's going wrong, go back to that. We got to be a really good team. If we're going to make anything happen here this week, it's going to be about the collective. It won't be about the individual.
So, Coach, we saw some air from the bubble, some workouts. Tell me what it was like living in the hotel like that.
It's a good question. It was, I don't think, obviously, none of us had been through an experience like that. So we had no real idea. Were we going to get along? Were we not going to get along? Were we going to, by the end of it, be ready to kill each other? We had no real idea. I think we tried to create breezy, an environment where tried to make it as normal as we could, really enjoy our time when we had a chance to be together, and tried to be really smart about our time when we needed to get rest, when we needed to train, those kinds of things. And listen, a coach can set a plan and everything else. You got to have players that want to execute it. If they don't want to do it, if they're on a different agenda, a different page from you or from each other, it never is going to work. So I think you got to give the players a boatload of credit on this. I mean, they bought in 100%. Guys that didn't get a chance to play were still as enthusiastic as the guys that were playing, and wishing for the guys that were playing that it was going to work, that it was going to work out, it was going to be a good thing, and it's that it was going to be an environment, that it was going to be something. They were genuinely interested in helping each other. I guess that's the best way for me to put it, and looking out for each other and making sure that the collective won. You've heard me talk a lot in these about team and it not being about the individual. The truth of it is, it's not golf, it's not tennis, it's not cross country. At the end of the day, this is a team sport, is about a collective group of people all pulling in the same direction to succeed. And one guy's never going to get it done. And the truth of it is, last year's group, and in a lot of ways, like this year's group so far that I've already seen, it's going to have to be about everybody pulling on the rope in the same direction. And we had that. We had it in spades with that group. It's funny. I had two moments in this where I got a little bit, not choked up, but it tugs at your heartstrings a little bit, because I know some of what a lot of these guys went through, and it, it was an unbelievable experience for me to coach this group of guys and to see where we came from with all the obstacles that were thrown in our direction, and how guys just even keel handled them. They were terrific. And the players deserve so much credit for how they handled it. They really do. And I'm proud of them, and I'm indebted to them, because they really made my job, Bill's job, Jordan's job, Drew's job, Jeremy's job. They made it easy. And I can't give them enough credit.
Yeah, you could.
Well,
you could really see a
go
lot.
ahead,
And I was going to say, you could really see a lot in that clip that the guys seem to really value each other. Go ahead, Jay.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was going to say same thing, except along the lines of, Coach, I heard you say that even the players who didn't get a chance to get some real time in were still there and still focused on the ultimate goal. Man, when I hear you talk, I could headbutt a brick wall and be fine. So I know a lot of those guys had a lot of motivation coming from that. Those speeches that you have, plus Juan, plus Dix, everything is. It brought a tear to my eye as well. So, and that's because I'm a massive fan.
I appreciate it. It's funny. There's an old saying, and you guys will have heard it. And a team tends to take on the personality of the coach. I'm not totally sure I want any of my teams to take on my personality, but the truth of it is, I'm a competitor. I want to win. I want to be successful. I want to do it a particular way, and that way is not about one guy, about the collective doing the right thing and pulling in the right direction altogether. Yeah. Because I think the sports to me, people always say sports is a microcosm of life. I don't know that it always is, but it's it should be a microcosm of life, because if you think about some of the way that we tried to play, everybody helping each other, everybody working for each other, everybody fighting for each other. Tell me something that's wrong with that. There isn't. There's nothing wrong with that. That's how we should live our lives, is caring more about the person that we talk a lot about, the person on the right and left of us, the person in front of us, the person behind us, and making sure that we don't let them down, and we fight for them, and we compete for them. That if one of the guys on our team is wrong, he should have to get in line behind all the other guys trying to fight for it and compete for it. And tell me that our country and our world wouldn't be a better place if everybody looked at it that way. You can't. Don't even waste your time thinking about it. Because the truth of it Coach, is, it would be a better place.
Oh, it totally would be. And I think you happen to be a better person than Breezy and I combined. Probably Smitty and Matt as well. Which, shout out to them. But hey, I want to talk about something else. The breakfast team bonding. That's a really interesting dynamic for this documentary. Yep. It brings on a whole side of things that we have never seen before. We never had a chance to see anything like that from CFC or anything on that standpoint. Is that something that you've always done, or is it kind of formatted for this bubble, or where did that idea come from?
It's something that I've always done, but I've never done it. I've never done it twice in the same way. Every team's different, and every group of players are different. So I might pick a different. This year, I don't know that I would necessarily do that with this group. I might choose something different. But I think you look at the players that you have. You look at the guys. You get to know them, and you get to know their personalities and what they're about. And I just felt with our group, it would be first off, just so every fan, this group was very tight before we ever got to Detroit. So it's not like I was trying to introduce something that to try and bring them out of their shell or anything else. They were already tight, and they already had a care and interest in each other. And had been through a lot. When you think about the COVID, when you think about even the Oakland game, giving a goal up with 3 minutes left of injury time. I mean, there's a lot of teams that would have broken. And maybe the time off in between that game and when we were able to play again may have been a salve for us. Although I think you would have, I would bet my house that we were going to beat Michigan Stars in that first game back home. So that was never, the guys recovered very quickly and very well from the disappointment of that. But I think we weren't trying to be, I wasn't trying to do that to try and bring them together or anything else. If anything, I was really thinking, you guys know each other, but do you really know each other? Do you really know Zeca? Do you really know? One of the things that hasn't come out yet, and I don't know if it will necessarily, but if you guys get to see Topher Marshall having to be the guy stand up there and do the thing, Topher's gonna get a comedian job. I mean, it was unbelievable.
Oh man.
And the story and Bement and different ones that got up McGrath, and they really they bore their soul to each other. And it's you saw that. Did you guys see when after Zeca got done, every one of those guys they practically had a pig pile in the middle of the room, and it was like they were so happy for him and so happy to be his friend and to be part of it. And
so speaking of that Zeca moment, let's actually transition straight into that clip and roll the Zeca clip that we have prepped right now.
Sure.
For the song and the joke, I didn't think about any particular song that I would like to sing, but I'm someone who writes a lot. I keep a journal every day, and if that's okay with you, I'll just read, and it's a short part here. of the first day we came back to practice. A lot of you knows that I didn't have a contract until at that point. I was just fighting for a spot in the team, and that was the first time I was stepping on the field knowing that I was part of the team officially, right? So what I wrote here is like first day back at training, and what I'm feeling it is to be in the position that I am due to the fact that I didn't give up and I kept trying. This idea of unfinished business was what drove me and pushed me each session. Every day when I felt like giving up. My first practice as a professional footballer. A kid's dream become reality. Sorry guys. You know, it's a pleasure to share moments like this with you guys. Very happy to be here and to be teammates with you guys. You know, it means a lot to me. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you.
Man, that clip is so emotional and in the best possible way. Foles, did
It's
you have
amazing.
any idea he was going to do that? Did you kind of know what he was going to talk about? And I think we just lost Foles. Jay,
Fools.
he dropped
The brewery's
out.
getting to him.
Either the brewery's getting to him or the bad cell phone connection in the rain. I'll wait for him to
Yeah.
call back in. But Jay, what
Sure.
did you think when you saw that clip? Like, what was your first reaction?
Zach is a friend, and also, you know, one of the longest standing CFC players. The longest standing player in CFC history. So it just gets better every time I've seen it. I've seen it twice now, and that's the third time. And every single time, man, it gets me a little bit. It's just so him to not tell a joke, not sing a song, but to read out of a journal. Like, how dreamy, Zeka, you know?
Seriously, I just got a text that said Fuller's phone died. So there's
Oh,
why
that's
he
amazing.
dropped off. We'll see if he gets on somebody else's phone and calls me back. Yeah, man, just crazy. And to see how the players reacted and hugged him, you know, as Foles said, it's almost like a dog pound in the middle of the room. Do you think they figured out who stole Zeka's peanut butter?
I don't know. I need to know more about that because I have no idea the context around that. That's all I know. So
But
I would
I
love
think
to learn more.
I think somebody was in trouble if they did. Like legit, like Zeka's going to find you, it seemed.
It sounded like it. I'll tell you something funny that came from that too. People who watch the doc will remember Fools shouted out Zeka's wife. And when he did, it was funny. But in the background, you can hear Brian Bement go, Jesus. And man, it was so funny. Those candid moments like that lead into something like what Zeka did. Like, how could you not write a documentary about it?
And for us to get a little window into these really intimate team moments, right? I always wondered what it was like at like team meals and at training and that kind of stuff. And we really get like real legitimate glimpses into this. It's so cool.
It's fascinating.
Speaking of cool things, where are you right now? And why do you look like you're in a cloud?
Oh, I'm at work. No, fortunately, my boss let me use our studio for this live stream instead of me doing it in the podcast studio. I actually have a camera set up in the back where I can switch. So this is the kind of the control setup I have, and I'm lit, and I've got TVs that I'm looking at, plus a teleprompter that you can't see. But it's a lot of fun. That's why I look like I'm in the cloud.
That's all. Speaking of which, Fuller is calling me back. Let's see if he's
let's get him in here.
Time.
Perfect.
Mr. Fuller, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I'm sorry, my phone went dead.
That's okay.
Likely story.
So Zeka mentioned a part in that clip where he said, you know, when he got onto the team, he hadn't really made the team. And so that journal entry was from his first day as a professional soccer player.
Right.
I'm curious, and maybe this is a little too, feel free to say if you don't want to talk about it, but I know from what he said coming into the year, he wasn't a full-time player. Did you guys see him as a major contributor this year or this last year, with the documentary, or how did you envision it going versus how it went?
It's a great question. And here's the deal. He came in He came in preseason when we started in February. The problem was he didn't have his he didn't have his there was an immigration issue with him that we couldn't sign him at that point. So and the main problem was we had given out all our visa spots at that point. So there was nothing we could do with him other than offer him a chance to train, stay with us. I would have signed him if it wasn't for that. So I think people need to understand he was going to be part of the group. And obviously, once his immigration status was changed and everything else during COVID, I called him on the phone and I was like, "We want to sign him." So that was the situation with Zeca. He was wanted right from the beginning.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for that insight there.
Sure.
Going forward, and we'll go to the Zeca red card in a second, but I have a quick interlude. Todd Hudgens asked 2 questions. Number one, he asked what's in this coffee cup, and it's tea, believe it or not, because my throat was a little raspy.
Story.
I wish it was something different, but I have to be productive. And the other thing is, and Todd asks this, and I think it's a very good question, and I'll kind of lead into it this way. The Zeca red card happens, and he draws an absolute elbow in the face, and then I believe it's right after that we lose Richard Dixon and Hoff both to injuries. And I don't want to talk too much.
Actually, a little different than that, Weezy. I was thinking of Weezy because it was Dwayne Ledley. Actually, we lost right after. We lost Richard and Dwayne within a minute of each other. So I had to make 2 subs right away.
So what were you thinking at that point?
I didn't know what you're not thinking. You're going on instinct and what you believe is right. I mean, it's the bottom line is I got to get 11 guys out on the field. I've lost Richard and I've lost Dwayne. And Richard, and I think you guys, we've talked about this. I think in last year's team, Richard wasn't necessarily our best player, although he's very, very good. And certainly the most experienced player in the team. He was our most influential player when it comes to the group.
Yeah.
And he had a massive influence on it. So losing him was bad enough. Dwayne going out a minute later was killer. Hoff scores the goal, and during injury time of the first half has gone back and won a header when we were really under it.
Yeah.
Jumps in the air and has a slight hamstring pull, and we got to bring him up. He made 3 subs in the first 45 minutes. So they lost the player. Listen, that's bad, but it was self-inflicted. Anybody that would have seen that, and I said it on the clip, and I was right about it. It was the best call the guy made all night.
Yes.
But the truth of it is, we both had hardship in that first half. So they had to go down to 10 guys. We lost 3 guys. I had to use 3 subs in the first 45 minutes. So, and when you've only got 5 of them, that's a problem.
Right.
That's a problem at that level.
And so that actually leads us straight into halftime. And we have a clip from halftime. But before we roll that clip, setting it up, you've just said you've made 3 changes in the first half. You have all due to injury. What is going through your mind coming into this halftime speech? And then let's listen to it. So real quick, tell us how you were feeling. What were your emotions like coming into this halftime speech?
The game wasn't over at this point. And I was disappointed with our reaction, but not surprised. I've been doing this a long time, and the amount of times I've watched teams who have gone up a man, even up 2 men, and all of a sudden the momentum of the game switches. If I had a $5 bill for every time I've seen it, I would have a lot of money. It's the mentality of players in that situation goes 100 different directions. It really does. And I was concerned because I knew they were a good team. We all knew they were a good team. And the players, to be fair to them, they knew they were a good team.
Sure.
We didn't go into that game thinking, oh, this is going to be a walkthrough. I mean, they're the third place team in the Western Conference, blah, 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 blah. We knew they were good. And I knew they would come out like a house on fire to start that second half. And we had to match their intensity and get through that period of time.
Perfect. I think you've set it up perfectly. Producers, if we could roll that clip, let's listen to what he said at halftime to the guys.
That will do it for the first half.
I think it's affected us. I think the change probably affected us. All of those kinds of things. The one thing that they will do, I promise you, for 15 minutes, it's going to be balls to the wall, hell bent for leather. And if you're not up for the fight, they're going to score a goal. You've got to be up for the fight. And you've got to be up to compete. All right. And the other side of it is too, it does us no good to sit here and play timidly or be shy. All right. Go out there and try and look to see if we can't get another one. Another one buries them. And don't play not to lose. Play to win. Play to win. Okay? Fear not. Don't be afraid. Do not be afraid out here.
Ready to run through a wall.
Yeah, I'm ready to run through a wall. One thing that I noticed, and I'll throw this to Jay before we talk to you again, Fuller. Jay, did you notice they used 1, 2, 3 family on almost every single huddle throughout the whole episode?
I did. I noticed that was the theme. I love that.
I loved, as a fan, I loved that so much. So much. Fuller, do you know where that, I don't know if that's a player-led thing, where that 1, 2, 3 family comes from?
It is them doing that particular sequence that you guys do when they come in together, 1, 2, 3 family.
Yeah.
But the one thing we talked about right from the beginning of training camp in February all the way through is that teams are teams, but families are families, and that there's a big difference. Teammates are together a couple hours a day, then they go on their way, do their own thing. Families might have disagreements, and they might listen. Anybody that would have come to our sessions, our training sessions, you had guys almost getting in fist fights, you had this, you had that. But the thing about it is, when it was over and after they said family, everybody's got their arm around each other, everybody's shaking hands, trying to find out where 10 guys are going to go to lunch that day. And they liked spending time together. They treated each other like brothers. And I think, we had a problem at a certain point during the summer, and I won't get into a lot of it, but I had a conversation with them, and I told them, stop saying the whole family thing, just stop it. Because the truth of it is, when you say that, there are certain specific things that you do. And I went through them with them. I said, if you want to say family, you better mean it. I don't want to hear lip service because you think it's what I want to hear. I want a real family. And if we're not going to be a real family, then screw it. Just say team or something, or Chattanooga FC or whatever. But don't embarrass yourselves by acting like something that you're not. And to be fair, I think it was about at that point, everybody was like, you know what? Yeah, that's what we got to be. Yeah. And
that's amazing.
When they said it, it meant something. It wasn't lip service. It wasn't a cliche. It wasn't anything else. Those guys believe in each other and still do. Even the guys that aren't here. So that's the history behind it.
That's amazing. So they said it, then they went into the second half. Speaking of a guy who was a part of the family and wasn't still here, but we go into the second half and we steal a second goal from Darwin Lom. How was the team's morale after that? Because it was a bit against the run of play. The LA Force were playing amazing, even being a man down. So how did it feel to see him smash it? And then what time is it?
Well,
What time is it?
I was incredible. Darwin had a terrific tournament, but he had a great game that night. And you saw a chance very early in the game that he ended up, the keeper made a save on. He probably, I think Darwin would tell you he should have done better with that one. But he was a going concern all night long. He had a bunch of chances and didn't score. But the thing is, when he scored that goal, I was happy. Obviously, we're up 2-0. It's a huge deal for us, but I was really happy for him because he deserved it. He had earned that. He had earned that goal because he'd worked his socks off all night long. He was terrific. The key to that game, guys. Honestly, there were two keys. The guy being stupid enough to let himself get sent off in the 10th minute. That was ridiculous. The second thing is Red's save and then him hitting the bar and Red's second save on the first one. I'm telling you, I can't tell you how that lifts the team. And I knew that at that point, I've used the analogy before. I bet my house note. At that point, I bet my house note we were going to win the game.
Yeah.
That totally took the wind out of their sails.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, for sure.
So going from that Lom goal, we had the two kind of moments in a row that were pretty gut-wrenching as fans. You had Brian's goal that I've never seen a better angle of, but it sure looked to me like he was onside where he scored, and they called it back. And then we had a penalty on an extremely soft penalty call. I'll say that.
Yeah.
And then he saves it, and they call him because he's off his line, and he'd made a double save there, and that was harsh. I mean, I guess by the letter of the law, he was off his line by inches, but man, how harsh. And then ball don't lie, right? It comes off the crossbar. How do you live that up and down from the sidelines? Were you struggling? Were you just feeling pretty good because we were still up 2? Like, how were you feeling?
Here's the thing. What the game? One of the things, and I've learned a lot from the game itself as a player and as a coach. But one of the things that this game teaches you is the things you usually set out. And the truth of it is, guys, just remember back to the Cosmos regular season game. We get a penalty in the 72nd minute, something like that. 70.
Speaking of Darwin,
whatever it was. Darwin gets a penalty saved, and they call it back. The goalkeeper's approach, and he ends up getting new life and scores the second one.
Yeah.
So things tend to even themselves out. And was I unhappy with the call? On the sideline, I don't think I said a lot. And I probably did under my breath, but I don't think that was real demonstrative. Because I can't see from where I'm standing whether he did or he didn't or whatever. And I knew that was a directive from FIFA and from the federation that, to have a better handle on what goalkeepers were doing in preparation for a penalty kick. But the other side of it is, once I was more mad when I watched on video. And I'm glad I had to watch it then. I might have gotten sent off because that was a joke. That was a joke. And my thing is, they made the best call that referee made all night long was the red card on their center back. The problem is he showed his immaturity as an official by letting them bully him to the point where he now was going to give them everything under the sun just to try and get him off his back. And the penalty was soft to start with. The call was complete ticky-tacky. And at the end, I don't know exactly what the foul count was, but I think we ended up in a position where it was close to 2-1. And I have no idea how it was even remotely in that neighborhood. It made no sense in terms of how the game was played. So, but I put it this way: things even themselves out, and in that situation, it was a poor call. It was a poor decision on the second one, and at the end of the day, we walked away from the sequence up 2-0. So. and I felt like at that point, this thing's over. These guys are going to fold it up.
Yeah, and as Tim
And
Duncan,
Bemenstal, I have no idea. I haven't seen an angle that I could sit here and honestly say it was onside or it wasn't. But the truth of it is, it was a terrific goal, and I felt really bad for a guy who had done a fantastic job in that one. I believe he came on, if I'm not mistaken, he was in that sequence. I think when Hoff came off, I think we pushed him on. I can't remember that specifically, but Brian did a great job. Brian had a great year for us last year, but people don't understand. I mean, he had a medial collateral ligament tear, slight tear in his knee. He had a hamstring problem, which turned into two massive hamstring problems, which set him back during the off season. I mean, and the guy still gutted himself out through that entire fall campaign. I mean, how he put up with the pain he was in, I have no idea, not a clue. But
no lie, not to mention Brian's hair could have its own documentary. So just wanted to say that, just to go back a little bit too.
I think he's hoping that guy. I think he's hoping that Super Chief is going to do something special, like the call it, fear the stash, embrace the hair. I don't know what exactly it might be, but I think he sort of bought into this whole, more hair is clearly better. So
that's a head of hair for hockey. That's what we call some lettuce or some salad.
Yeah, but he really does. It's not necessarily a mullet though. That's the thing. The hockey players are all about the mullet. I mean,
that's true.
His is more. I think
it's flow.
His is more. Have you guys ever, like, up north a lot of times with the way the grass grows, it gets trampled and ripped up and everything else? You have these huge clumps of hair that grow, or huge clumps of grass that grow where it just kind of goes up and then over. I think he's hoping to. I think he's looking at it at that kind of his. I think that's
model.
More his that's his model for what he's doing right now. So
yeah. Well, hey, any CFC fan that's been around for a while will tell you that we are not balanced when it comes to saves with keepers being called off the line. But I won't go into that because that's another hour-long subject. But I will tie us into the next clip that we have. It's you know what? Let's just let it play. Let's roll the clip.
Family on three. 1, 2, 3. Family.
In tournament play, there is little time to celebrate, but the 15-minute bus ride back to the hotel affords a small window for the club to savor tonight's 3 points.
We went out there and did our job. We got the dub, we took the 3 points. Now everybody chasing us, We did what Chattanooga does. We win. We take dubs. We take dubs. Fair enough. Dubs. That's what we do.
So, fools, at the end of that clip,
yep,
you are dancing. And some of us who are close to you know that side of you. But I think a lot of people that are in the stands, they see Coach Fuller. They're business-oriented. Then he goes back in the locker room. I love that people got to see this side of you. And not only that, but when you did the chatta, that hit home too. Yep. I know for a lot of people. So those bus rides must have been amazing after wins.
That's something, honestly, when I get on the bus after a win, we start right away with that. I started that last year during the members stuff, to be honest with you. So
nice.
It's who we are. We're a part of Chattanooga, and look, to a lot of people, they'd look at me and say, Foles is a little bit weird, or this or that. Let me tell you something. That one of the best bumper stickers that I've ever seen. When you guys go into Clyde, look at all the bumper stickers that they've got up there, and they got some unbelievable ones. But one of the first ones I remember seeing when I moved here was Cheap Chattanooga Weird. I'm perfect for that. That's right up my alley. So
that is right up your alley.
I embrace being here, and I embrace the city that I live in, and the city and the team that bears that city's name. I embrace it, and I would never want to embarrass it in any way. But at the same time, too, I'm also going to be me. And look, I'm a person who has many sides, like a lot of us. I think people just have gotten a chance to see my strangeness. So,
I think number one, we've talked about this on our podcast before, and that we feel this way, Foles. But one of the things is you fit in here seamlessly. But Robbie Williams, team trainer's got a comment here on the Facebook stream, and he says that is the real Fuller, not for TV show. And I think what he's saying is, exactly, that you can see it on the screen. Like that's not a show that you're doing, then that's someone that knows you well and knows you in these circumstances. The Keep Chattanooga Weird is and your whole persona in this documentary is not fake. And I think those of us who know you know that. Right. And it's it's refreshing, I think, for everyone to get to look into these team moments.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's great. And it's funny. That's a nice thing for Robbie to say. And one of the things that I don't think Robbie Williams has been here since the beginning of Chattanooga FC.
An absolute
He's
legend.
The best and here's the thing, guys. I've coached a lot of places. I've worked with a lot of great people. I've never worked with a trainer better than Robbie Williams. The best. He is hands down, bottom line, the best trainer I've ever worked with. And if I left tomorrow and got the national team job, I would try and figure out a way to take Robbie with me. He's awesome, and a lot of people have no idea about that. He's a quiet, reserved guy. He's a family guy who loves his family first, loves his wife, loves his daughters, and we almost lost him last year at this time. And what a tragedy that would have been for Chattanooga FC and for our city, because this guy represents our city, not just our club, so well. He is awesome, and I love. It's a privilege for me to work with him and to work with somebody that's as good at what he does as he is. He's phenomenal, and I don't know that the fans fully understand what he means to the players too. The players love him. The guys love working with him, and they trust him. And I can't begin to tell you how important it is to have the trust as a trainer, to have the trust of the players. That is huge. And I see it, and it's important to me. Got to have it. They've got to, the players have got to trust the trainer. And these guys trust this guy.
That's amazing.
He's awesome.
Yeah. I think you saw the connection there. When Robbie had that health scare, you saw a lot of former and current players, posting all over Facebook, expressing their love in every way that they could. It was different than just somebody they'd worked with. So I think that's definitely evident. Well, Coach Fuller, that is all of our clips. And I don't know if we should keep you any longer. I feel like Singo is a good spot for you. I know how much you love that. Is there anything you'd like to leave us with? Is there anything that you request of the fans before we let you go here?
Yeah, one thing. One guy that I don't think got near enough mention in these first two episodes that really deserves it is Bill Elliott. And you guys know as well as I do, you know the relationship that I have with Bill. And you know that I'm indebted to him giving me the opportunity to be here and to be a part of this club. But Robbie Williams and Bill Elliott have been linked for a long time. And Bill did a heck of a job here during the NPSL years and everything else. And Bill's a great coach. He's a great coach. And we're a great team. Whenever he's in town, obviously he's right on the touchline with me. I give him responsibility and things that I want him to do. And I feel an indebtedness to him, but it drives me as well. I want him to be proud of how we play and what we do, and him to be happy with the job that I do. And he's a guy that deserves a lot of credit, fellas. And I want to make sure that he always understands that he's a big part of what we do still today. With his help with players, with his help with me to bounce ideas off of, ideas about our budget and things that we ought to think about and all of that. He's a big part. He's a big part of my life, and he's a big part of Chattanooga FC. And I don't want anybody to ever forget that. He's pretty special.
And that's great to hear. I think we got to see a little glimpse of that, but it's nice to hear you come out a little bit more. You got to see him on the field at Detroit doing a little bit of that practice, and that was nice.
That was special.
It's something really special to see you guys work together. And this is, I hope, at least it appears to be a family off the field as well, right? We talked about the 1-2-3 family for the players, but for the coaches in the front office, this is CFC is something special, and the CFC family is something real. And so to see you slide in there, to see the things that Robbie's saying right now on Facebook. He said, "Thanks, Coach. I appreciate being able to work with you." And then he said, "These are my brothers from the CFC family that you're talking about." These are interactions that we're having, online after a documentary. But there's a reason a documentary is being made about this club right now, because there's something special that happens in this CFC family, in the orbit of this club. It's bigger than soccer, and it's more than soccer. And I think we're all really just lucky to, at least that's how I feel, really lucky to play a very small part here.
Yeah, you guys have played a lot more than a small part, Ricky. And I've told you guys this all the time. Our fan base drives me, and I've worked at the highest levels of the game in this country, and I've never had a fan base like our fan base, and I feel a responsibility to our fan base that we do it the way you guys would want it done, and you guys have a lot more than a little bit of a piece to this puzzle. You guys, in a lot of ways, are the reason we do what we do, and why I have a job here, and why I want to be here. So, please don't minimize that, because it's not minimized by us as a staff, or a front office, or our players. It's ingrained in them right from the moment they walk in the door.
Thank you, man. Awesome. That means a lot. Well, Coach, thank you so much. This was an excellent time interviewing you. Provided so much insight in this, and I can't wait to see you out on the field in April 3. And who knows, maybe we'll sneak in another interview in one of these docs before then.
Yeah, hey, we'll have the Celtics on ice waiting on you.
Well done. I love it. I'll tell you what, fellas, thank you so much. And anytime you need me, I'm here. So let me know.
Thanks, Coach. Talk to you later.
Thanks,
see you, boss.
Guys. Take care.
It's always fun talking to him.
There goes Coach Fuller. Man, I'm ready to run through a brick wall. Tim Duncan said something earlier on the chat. He said Coach was 100%.
Best comment so far.
Oh, well, there's a couple, but I was saying he was 100% born to be a coach. Which comment were you thinking? The Rasheed Wallace ball down high?
No, raise hills, praise bills, or whatever they say.
Yeah. Yes. That's a really good
I almost started laughing while Fuller was on the phone, and I didn't want to have to explain. So I definitely wanted to bring that up because that comment made me laugh really hard. So.
Oh, yeah, it's so good. So, Jay, before we close out, and we can talk a little bit here, what were your overall thoughts on the episode, and kind of what do you want to see for next week's episode?
I liked episode 2 more than episode 1. I loved episode 1, but I am really liking the direction this is going towards. As a fan, knowing what happened in the tournament, I'm really excited to see what unfolds behind the scenes. And this is the first episode where you really get to see how close of a look we're going to get. So I'm so excited. What about you?
So I don't know which episode I liked more. I loved episode 1. Episode 2 is also great. But what episode 2 left me was really, really wanting more. It ends kind of abruptly.
Yep.
And I cannot wait to see like what went on behind the scenes for the New York Cosmos game and for the Cal United game. And I don't know which episode is for which game. Like, I don't know how it unfolds. But I want to see much more in the hotel thing. I said this last episode. I still want to know which episode, which room was the fun room. And then one thing we didn't talk about in this episode, because I didn't want to ask Fuller. I didn't know if it was fair to ask him. Maybe he would have known. I don't know. But we were in such a good, serious topic. But what was that card game they were playing?
Yeah, we got to ask. I guess we could ask Juan. But yeah, the way Juan treats them, I think he was asking Coloco, like, did you practice? Like, that made me laugh so hard.
Oh, and I have a feeling, and maybe we'll get Juan on one of these episodes. We'll see, like, as we go forward, who we get to interview. But somebody's got to know what that card game was. Also, how small was that ice bath? Poor Ryan and Zeka. Like, being in a hotel and not having the proper facilities. And I didn't ask this, and I just thought of it, and I should have asked it before. Like, how did they divide up the gym time? Right? Because there's only a certain amount of gyms in a hotel. So, like, there's 4 floors. Anyway, I don't know. I don't think they had a gym on each floor. So, like, how did they divide it up between all the professional teams? Like, wild stuff, man. Wild stuff.
It's amazing to think about, because I would have loved to have watched a regular first professional season in a documentary style, but this is something very different. And you get things like that, and you get quirks like seeing the other team in the hotel. We don't know if that happens yet, but I'm guessing it does, because they were all in one hotel. So,
and are they hiding from the cameras? Are the other teams hiding, or are they trying to make? I mean, I don't know. That might be something we have to ask the producers. Yeah, that's for sure. So listen, if you're listening to this and you're still here, thank you. We really appreciate you guys tuning in and hanging out with us after the show. Thank you for the comments. Love the comments on Facebook, and I need to check YouTube next time. So I really appreciate that. If you are wanting to see more Section 109 podcast, you can see us on YouTube. We did a goal special, and you can find that on YouTube. And you can also
really
find
worth the watch.
Yeah, it's really long, but we actually did a good job. It's like the one piece of content we've ever did that's good. And then everything else, if you want to find podcasts from us, you can find us on all your major podcast platforms, and on social media, on Instagram and on Twitter, because we don't do the Facebooks. We're not old, even though we're on Facebook right now. At Section 109 podcast, at Section 109. Jay, if people want to find you on the internet, maybe they want to talk to you about this, or they want to yell at you about some bad take you had tonight, how can they do that?
You can find me on Twitter at Section 109 podcast, because that's the only one I'm on. But you can find me on Instagram, where I am mostly there at letter J. What about you, Breezy?
You can find me on the internet. Thanks, everybody.
All right.